welcome back. This is Friday, June 11th, I believe, and we're just hot off the end of the University of Kentucky Summer Trumpet Institute, which is an amazing camp. If you have the opportunity to go there next year, it'll be around the same time, just sort of at the beginning of the summer, right after school lets out for everybody. And it's really an incredible camp with a lot of amazing teachers and a lot of, when we do it in person, you get to meet each other, right? All the students get to meet each other and you make lifelong connections. So now I kind of am inspired by all the stuff that I learned. I have a whole bunch of pages of notes, and I have a whole bunch of stuff that I know that I'm not really good at yet, right? I know that I'm not 100% on. But the problem with all that is if I tell you what I learned in the camp, like verbatim, then it's like you went to the camp, but you didn't have to pay for it, and that's not really fair, I think, to the people who did. So instead, I'm going to go over the stuff that I need to work on for this summer, right? It's a great time to, this is kind of the first time that I've had an opportunity personally to just kind of slow down, think for a second about what I want to do with my time this summer. The summer is a great time to really hedgehog, right? Put your head down and just go. And if you know what you're doing, right? And if you're not sure exactly what it is that you need to focus on, well, then it's time to explore until you find that, right? So I have a lot of things. Now, you might say, well, Gabriel, it's not really focusing if you're doing a lot of things. Well, yes and no, right? It's okay for me to work on different aspects of my trumpet playing and have some core fundamentals that I'm trying to work into each of those things. So you can sort of focus and be broad at the same time on trumpet, just in the same way that, you know, if you're an athlete, you can focus on one aspect of your game, but you can still play the whole game, right, in order to do that. So that's kind of what we want to do, is make sure we check on all of the little aspects of our trumpet playing as often as we need to maintain them, but we also want to really like get down to the nitty-gritty and address some things that maybe needed to be addressed a long time ago and just never have been, right? So, and that might be different for you. But if you're watching the stream, I should have the chat up. I've finally somewhat solved the issues that I've been having with my camera freezing. I don't really know what's causing it still, but I have sort of done it enough times that I've figured out how to do it so that it seems to work. So hopefully that will be the case the whole time today. If it's not, then I'm sorry again. But I'm just so happy to have a good lens and camera set up that I will keep trying. So anyway, I'm going to talk through and do through all the stuff that I want to do over the summer. I guess we can't do literally everything for the whole summer right now, right, in this session. But I've brought a lot of my resources that I use. I make a lot of lists, and I make a lot of notes, and I make a lot of resources for my students, but I use them too. And so I've got it all sort of around me right now. And a lot of this video will probably be me just kind of sitting in a chair like this and writing things down and playing with different kinds of pencils. We've got a lot of pencils here to try. But so let's talk over some things. Let's start here. This is a list I made called What I Should Do Every Day. And I need to make like a little repository on my website for stuff like this so that I can link it in the description. But I will read it to you, and you can take note of it if you want to follow along, okay? So this is what I should do every single day, right? I've got to warm up, obvious. We do that a lot on this channel. I want to play every scale. Now, that might change as you get more and more scales, right? If you have 48 scales to play, that might be too many to do every practice session. But it's not too many to do every week, right? And when I wrote this, I was trying to get my freshmen to do every major scale, right? So when I say play every scale, I really mean every unfamiliar scale to you right now, and then check on the other ones some other time, right? And do it in 2 octaves if you can. And when you can do that, do it in thirds, or vice versa. If you want to start with thirds and then work your way up to 2 octaves, that's fine too. But you should be able to play every scale 2 octaves on pretty much any instrument, right? So this doesn't just apply to trumpet. And then when you're done with the scales, you can do every mode and symmetrical scales, right? So that's the whole tone and octatonic and hexatonic scales, as well as some of the hybrid scales or synthetic scales. And we've talked on this channel a lot about minor modes, right? So the minor modes would go into this as well. So that's a lot already, just all the scales that you need to do. And I have, so while we're talking through it, what do I, Gabriel, need to do? Well, let's get a pencil. And for those of you who are interested in pencils and things like that, I will tell you what I'm doing. Let's see. I'm going to use, oh, this is a very good one. This is a Mitsubishi I think it's High Uni, maybe just Uni 4B. Beautiful pencil. Extremely soft core, which is a good thing. We love hardcore music, but we like soft core pencils. So what do I need to do? Well, in Scale World, I've got my ways to play scales sheet from the other day right here. So we're going to hang on to that. And we're just going to start a list. We don't need to have it in any kind of order yet. We'll get to that at the end, right? But ways to play scales. All right. So I definitely need to work on my minor modes, right? So minor modes. And I think I probably need to do my major scales. My major scales in some of these. We tried it the other day. I definitely want to go through and at least check on all of the intervals. So all intervals. So that's thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, and sevenths. And you could do ninths, but that's thirds in octaves. So you can spend all of the time you want combining things. Diatonic triads, those I'm pretty good at, but not in every key so quickly. So and you know what, while we're doing this, if there's a Clark exercise or something that could substitute for one of these exercises, like the diatonic triads one, right? Clark 3 is not a full substitute, but it's a nice kind of other thing to do that maybe if you're tired of doing the same da 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 da, that kind of exercise. So let's say diatonic triads. Now, to be fair, it only has 3 triads in it, and 2 triads and a 7 chord, really. But, like we said, it's something else to do, and it might be more challenging because doing all of, when we do Clarks, we want to do all of them, and that can be a really hard endurance challenge, as well as just starting off really low. Of course, you can start wherever you want in the Clark book, but Clark, we're talking about Clark Technical Studies number 3, and so that can be a really good place to. We just did it in this camp in one of the warm-ups, and I absolutely folded. I'm not very good at low playing, and it's easy to address it a little, but really not enough every day. So I need to do that more. So yeah. Clark number 3, for sure, instead of diatonic triads, sometimes might be a good choice. Or we could do both, right? If we choose a couple of keys. And I'm probably going to do this one major scale per day, or maybe 2 major scales per day to do all of this stuff, right? I can't do all 12 major scales every day, all intervals, all the diatonic triads, all of the Clark number 3s, right? That's crazy. If you can do it, I mean, great. You know, I just don't, I want to spend my endurance on other stuff. So, okay, we've got diatonic triads. Then I want to get a little bit into this fixed triad idea. So in other words, they all have the same quality. So I want to try that. I'm going to put it way over here, though. I know that doesn't matter to you guys, but I'm putting it in the corner of the page. And that's because fixed triads, I might want to use that more in a strict jazz context instead of a classical, like, major scale kind of way. Maybe it's better if I do that on chord changes of a tune, so that I'm sort of playing with the modes a little bit and playing out a little bit, and using that to work on my ear training for improvisation, right? Or something like that. So that I'm putting it over on the side. It's gonna be nearby, but we're going to say diatonic 7 chords is good, right? And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, if you're watching this in the future, go back a couple of videos and look for the scales and arpeggios video. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, it might have been 3, and just check that out. It's got all of this stuff. I play it all for you, and we're going to play some of it today, of course. Oops. Sevenths. Now, I'm not going to do fixed 7 chords because I can interpolate, or I can extrapolate that from the triads, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. And the same with diatonic 9 chords. Yes, I get it. Tertian stacks, right? So I'm not going to write that down because I should be able, and I'm always going to have this list. So if I'm not doing 9 chords and 7 chords are easy, I'll add it. And then diatonic pentatonics, right? So in other words, and I could do fixed pentatonics too, but that one is more difficult to explain. But it's the 5 notes that a pentatonic scale would have, but in a key. So let's say we'll do F major. There we go. Right? It's just all the 5-note groupings like that. I'm not sure that that has a huge amount of value, but it's something that I thought of that I know that I can't do right away, so I'm going to try it. So I'll write it down also sort of way over on the side. Pentatonics. Because I'm not sure how useful it will be, but I do want to address it. Okay, so that's our scales, and that is, now we're back to the what should I do every day. Now, I know we're talking about the whole summer, but I should still, if I'm not doing it every day, then I definitely need to do it all summer. So that's our scales. We need to transpose every day. Okay, well, I'm not worried about doing that because that's in my practice journal, which my actual practice journal is somewhere, there it is. And I've shown you this before, but again, another template that I need to upload to somewhere, and actually update because it's not updated. But on this practice journal, right, you can see there's sections, especially down here. The way that this works out is it's a template for me to write down what I did, how long it took, what I was trying to accomplish with that exercise, and then any general notes that I have. Those are the 3 columns. Oh yeah, one of my students says he just started using a saxophone scale pattern book and it's kicking his butt. Excellent, yes. The Slonimsky book always kills me all the time, and I definitely got to get Miles's book because I know him, and I can't believe I don't already have it. I should have bought it as soon as it came out. But anyway, so I've got the 3 sections: the item I'm playing, the habit or focus I'm trying to go for, the general notes, right, that I have just about my playing or about that exercise or whatever, about the day, right? But then down here it has specific things, scales. So the scale section's going to have to get a lot bigger. Okay, I'll fix that. In fact, let's make these marks. While we're at it, let's get a different red pencil out. And just for my own benefit, is this red? Yeah. This one, in case you're wondering, is a General's Insoluble Color-Tex 1818T Carmine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit. This is way back in December, this trumpet journal, and it doesn't have much on it. So I'm going to edit it on the front face of it. So I need scales to be bigger. Way bigger. High range. So you need to address high range every day. I always do. There's no day that I don't do something with my high range, whether that's, well, it's always at least the lip trill exercise that I've shown you a bunch of times. But I'm going to move high range up closer to the warm-up because it's always the end of my warm-up, and I just need to put them, there's no reason they need to be in this order. Sight reading, definitely need to do that. But I'm not worried because it's on the sheet, right? Transposition, like I said, already on the sheet. Not going to worry about it. I'm just going to do what the sheet says, right? Listening break, I do need to listen more. I definitely need to listen more. I've done a lot of listening the last week because I've been inspired to by my colleagues at the Trumpet Institute, and I've also been listening to them, of course. Live music counts, live concerts. But anyway, yeah, I need to keep that up all summer. So I'll put that on the list in a second. And while we're editing this also needs to add excerpts. Yeah. And then it still has lesson material, other practice, and then recording something, another thing I need to do. So I'm going to be better about using my journal the way that it says. I also have some other stuff in there that I'm going to look at. But, okay, so back to what I should do every day. Okay, so we got transpose, talked about it. Sight reading, yes. High range, we moved it. Some lesson material, okay, right, I've got that on the sheet. I'll address it. Record yourself, just said that. Listening and reading, just talked about that. Reading, I have a few books right now that Charlie Schluter just came out with a new book, so I'm looking at that. I'm going to review that just for a little, Amazon review blurb, nothing major. My friend Kelly Rossum has a book that hasn't come out yet called Trumpet Roshi, and it's really fascinating to read. It's really nice. It's just little simple lessons that they're simple to read, but they mean a lot. They really hit you hard. And I've been learning a lot from that book, and also just really enjoyed reading it. So I have both of those to read, and I also have about 3 unread trumpet journals from ITG, International Trumpet Guild. So I really need to get into those and at least read an article a day. So let's write that down. Oh, we have a wrong pencil. Okay, since we're switching out pencils, let's go with, oh gosh, how about the Mitsubishi Mark Sheet HB? These are okay. I did a little head-to-head with the Mitsubishi and Tombow Mark Sheets, and I believe I like the Tombow better, but I like the look. The Mitsubishi has like one regular sort of typeface on it, and the Tombow has some sort of weird, like goofy typeface on it in one spot that's just really off-putting. But it's overall, I think it's a better pencil, so take that for what you will. Anyway, so what did we just say? We need to read daily trumpet journal, right? Daily article, ITG. Yeah, and by the end of the summer, we'll easily have gotten through all those ITGs, and I'll still read the other books in my spare time because they're fun, right? Okay, so that's listening and reading. Journal, well, that we've already definitely covered that. We're going to use the journal every day. I didn't use the journal this past week because I was too busy taking notes about everybody else's stuff on sheet paper. What do they call these? Legal pads, right? Because I didn't want to run out of room, and my journal is not really set up to take notes like that in it. I need to come up with some solution for that. Bunch of pages maybe in the back or something. So I guess that also could be on the to-do list, but that's not really. This is the summer to-do list, so we'll put it in the journal in a second. All right, so and then talk to other people about trumpet. Well, I do that quite frequently, so I'm not worried about that. What I should do every week, so that's the bottom of this page, begin work on some new literature. Well, we have plenty of new things to work on, but we could maybe list them, I think. And so let's, for now, new works is just going to be a heading on this piece of paper. And as we get to things that we want to work on, we'll add them. Let's see. Review week or month of journal. In other words, that amount of time backwards in time. So every week I have a page that makes me review the previous week. Every once in a while I really should look back a whole month and just look at every page, read it, see if there's anything on there. So this is a really good one, reviewing way back in your trumpet journal. You'll learn a lot and not have to relearn everything all the time, or forget it for 3 months and then have to relearn it. That's really where it gets frustrating. So okay, and assess your progress and plan, right? That's what we're doing right now. Listen to something new. I definitely, like I said, need to listen to things. I'm going to go with listening as another list, and I'm going to immediately put sopranos, not the show, the type of singer, and I also want a baritone named Jussi Björling. I'm not actually sure how to spell that, but we'll find out. Just having it on here will be good. Find something new to read about the trumpet. Okay, well, we've discussed that already. That's really so that you have something for the weekly thing. If you go to number 8 here and you say listening, reading, oh darn it, I don't have anything to read. Well then, yeah, you're not going to read right now, and also tomorrow you're probably not going to have anything to read. So it's good every week to find something new and just put it in a pile so you always have something to go to, right? Look at ensemble repertoire. So if you're in a group, in fact, I am playing with North Carolina Brass Band in about 3 weeks. So I do have ensemble music to look at, and you should do that once a week. If you're looking at your ensemble music exclusively in your practice sessions every day and not looking at your lesson material or doing fundamentals, you're not going to get better at trumpet. You may have a good time in your ensembles and not get yelled at, but you're still going to get yelled at for missing notes because you haven't been warming up, right? So it's far, far better to make sure you take care of your fundamentals and your lesson material, because that's where you're going to get better. And then, yeah, you definitely need to look at your ensemble music, especially if it's hard. But it should not be your focus, right? If it is, then there's something else kind of wonky about your practice, and you're gonna have a tough time enjoying all your trumpet playing, right? Okay, and then play duets, which is another thing I need to do very badly. So duets is on the list down here. And I might have to play duets by myself, like record one and do it that way. Or when I'm home or at Interlaken with my dad, we can play duets together, and that'll be great. Also, my girlfriend wants to play duets. That's another great way. She doesn't play trumpet, but that just makes it harder for me, right? Got to match other instruments. So, okay, so we've done some scales. We've gone over what to do every day. Now, the sad truth is that we also have to get, I'm trying to find a place to put this. We'll put it down here. I made a list many years ago for this same purpose. So let's see what's on that list that we can do. All right, high range, got it. Good turnaround. Oh, okay, so here's some specifics that I think would be really good to add. In fact, since I printed this out, we're just going to circle them. Good turnaround, for sure. Good releases. Yeah, I can always stand to work on that. Breath attacks, we'll see. Tuning, yes. Scales, we talked about. Keeping good time. Now that is a tricky, if I'm not doing that, you know, I really need to be. Sight reading, we talked about. Diaphragmatic breathing. This is what's called the wedge breath. You breathe against support, and it really has explosive power. And then jazz, which we're always working on now. Always items. So this is stuff I wanted to carry around with me. Metronome. Oh, no, sorry. This is stuff that I wanted to address all of the time, no matter what I'm playing. So my time, intonation, turnaround, release, diaphragmatic breathing. So all stuff that we've talked about before. Aperture control. That's a new one. We'll circle that. Strong outer embouchure, relaxed inner aperture. We'll put a bullet point next to that and see if that's true. Next to that, I'm going to put something I learned this week, sort of pushing my lower lip out, which was called, what was that called, my dear student who's also working on it? I want to say pooching, but it's not. It's, well, anyway, lower lip. Okay, written in. And tongue position control, I'm always doing that. Air use, yes. Always tone, yeah, well, better be. High range, tuning were singular items I wanted to work on individually, right? Combination items, both jazz related, so we're good on that. Not because I'm so good at it, because it's already folded into my daily practice now. It didn't used to be years ago. Always keep your focus singular. This is a good idea. So in other words, you can't think about two things at once. Just think about one thing, check on it, and then change to the next thing and check on that. And then all of this thing on this list is half. The other half is listening, which we've already talked about too. So we're just going to tuck that in right here so we don't... Oh, no, that's not my trumpet journal. All right, so finally, now we're going to get to, I'll just put all this in there. Now we're going to get to stuff that I sucked at this week that I need to definitely work on. And for this, we're going to use, a nice Palomino Blackwing number 10 volume. This was the Nellie Bly volume, I believe in extra firm graphite. So far this has been more of a pencil review than anything else. But, okay, so let's go over here, and all in one masterclass, and this is where we're going to get to play some now, and then we'll work through all this stuff. All in one masterclass, I sucked at the same thing. So here's some basics. Basics to work on. Okay, so progressive lip bends was one, right? I didn't get super great at that. They seem to help a lot, but mostly about low slurs. So the next thing was low slurs. Clark number 3 I was really bad at, honestly. Even though we've done it a bunch on the channel successfully, I haven't gone super low. So low again, right? 2 low things. Just goes to show you it's easy to avoid. Not a lot of people make you play low notes, so it's easy to forget how bad you are at them. Insert, let's see, low open 5th bend as needed. So I already wrote that down. Oh, and then this Frank Hand thing. Basically, progressively widening single notes. This was really hard, where it just gets, it's high and low and high and low. And there's a special exercise that that we did in the warm-up that somebody else was leading, but which I think I'm going to get because I like the place that it's from, and I don't have that book yet, so I really need to get it. But I can also just make it up, right? I can start on G in the staff and go up to A flat and down to G flat and up to A and down to F, and I can just expand it on my own and add some octaves in, and that's basically the same kind of thing, okay? So rock on. We've got some of the stuff from there. There were other things that I was terrible at. There's one other place there was a jazz master class that I went to that I wrote down a lot of stuff. And there are some books that I need to buy here. I'm just looking through it really quickly. If there's, yeah, there's sort of a revision of my jazz method that I want to do, and add some parts to it, yeah. But I think in general we're pretty good. We're pretty good. So I will plug the guy that did the class, Josh Reed, Dr. Josh Reed, has a new album coming out soon. It's not out yet, but definitely buy Josh Reed's album when it comes out because it's going to be incredible. He's just a phenomenal mind and trumpet player, and so I can't wait to hear what that album sounds like because it's just going to be nuts. So okay, we've got our list, and that didn't take too long. It took 30 minutes to go through all that. Hopefully you did along with me if you're watching the video and you're planning for your summer. If you didn't, then I hope you enjoyed listening to me just talk through stuff. But now, oops, we're gonna actually do this, right? So let's start with some of those basics. We're just gonna do some lip slurs and lip bends on a B-flat trumpet. We're not even going to start with our mouthpieces or anything like that. We're just going to do some sort of basic, in fact, in that warm-up we started with something that I already do. It's called hoo-poo-too. And so this is, so you're starting the note with a breath attack. Poo, you're starting the note with a poo attack. And then two, you're starting the note with the type of tonguing you want to do. So for me, I want to anchor tongue. I also, I forgot, I also have this current sheet of things to keep in mind. Anchor tongue position, even pressure throughout the ranges, ready embouchure, right? Perfect turnaround, breathe against support. So we're hearing a lot of the same things from years ago that I'm still thinking about. And you might say, well, that sounds, why would I listen to you about practicing now, Gabriel? Apparently you haven't been doing any of the stuff that you wrote down for years. No, I've been doing it. It's just still not perfect, right? So I'm still thinking about that. Now, here's a very interesting problem. This we just talked about pushing out the bottom lip a little bit, but this sheet that I just showed you has bottom lip tucked in enough written on it. So that's something we're going to have to sort of deal with that, right? You can't; those both can't be right. Well, that's not true either. Maybe it needs to be tucked in and pushed back out, right? I can see that. So, okay, lower back of tongue, proper turnaround. I mean, a lot of stuff that I'm going to have to do one at a time. So that's why I have it all on a big blank sheet so that I can look at one thing and say, okay, this time I'm going to get the perfect turnaround. So here we go. We're going to do Huputu on a B. Why not? So if you're playing along at home, we're going to do a bunch of these. Let's see. Hoo, poo, tu, right? Just hold it out after that last one. This is something I learned from Hunter Eberle, but it also came up in the masterclass that we had this week. So. We're just going to do a few of these because we really want to get onto the lip bends. So now I'm going to think about that. That's been a pretty good turnaround, pretty good ready to embouchure. I'm using anchor tongue position for at least the tonguing part. I'm getting pretty even pressure. So now I'm going to start to think about whether I want to tuck my lip in, and if that works, or if I'm pushing out, or if there's some combination. Nice a sound, but it did work. I can change that sound after the fact if I want to. Let's try the other way. Yeah, not bad. Still tweaking my setup here. Sorry if it's been quiet this whole time. If it's been quiet this whole time, sorry about that. I always forget to turn my mic back on, but these also seem very soft today, the main mics for the trumpet. So I'm trying to just monitor it. If anybody's watching and you have a comment about whether it's good or bad, please let me know. So I'm learning. I think the bottom lip tucked in enough was my jaw position, trying to get it back to TMJ, like to lock in, because I like to try to play with a fixed jaw, even though I really have a floating jaw set up. And then the pushing out my lip is a muscular version of filling in that gap so that I have the right kind of aperture control. And that's meaning that I'm not as good at controlling the pitch, but it also means that I have more control over the pitch. I'm just not good at it, right? Which actually is a very exciting kind of thing. So, better now than it was a second ago. Okay, thank you very much. Is it good enough is the real question. Can I be louder or softer? Let's keep trying. I also got the perfectly worst setup, so I can't see the chat and the bars of audio, but now I'm good. Okay, what if I play with this on? Let's see what that looks like. I don't know. It seems okay on there, but it might be, I guess I can always just, God forbid I would monitor my own sound while I'm making it, right? All right. Yeah, okay, thank you. I've been trying to get, basically I want all of the faders to look the same now because I have independent control over the voice mic. And the voice mic, unless I go like this, is never going to be enough, right? I really should just get the setup that all the podcasters and video podcasters have, right? All the gamers, where it's like a boom mic that goes right in front of me and I just lean into it when I want to talk and then I don't play into it. But unfortunately, that is probably going to have too big of a radius. Like I'd have to have a very specific setup. So anyway, this is not an audio setup podcast. This is a trumpet live stream, practicing live stream. So I am going to practice. And really, I only add this mic so that it has a little bit more clarity, right? It's really a trumpet-centric idea. So thank you for helping me tweak this setup. If you're not already, I will say this every chance I get and every time I think about it. If you're not already listening to the podcast called Free Live Cams, you need to do it immediately. It's like you are not a good enough person until you have done it and dealt with it. So now we're going to do some lip bends, right? And we're going to do my dad's very good lip bends, which are basically the things that I was bad at the other day in somebody else's masterclass. So. This is helping us be muscular with our embouchure, but also really get our air working well. So all of that stuff together is what we're after. If you're not sure what this is, we're going up you can hear that we're going up a half step, but our fingerings are going up a whole step, and we're keeping it in bent into the half step. And then we do the same thing with the last two notes. We keep the same fingering, bend it down, then play the correct fingering. That just gets us sort of in the center of the slot really, really hard. And then when we're actually playing, we're using that embouchure and we're centering all the notes easier or faster with one singular embouchure, right? And we're going to do this into the low register as we go, and then we're going to try to bend from the register we're in into the lower register. So we can even start to do that now. And you can hear how it just kind of suddenly goes. You can't bend it all the way through, although I've heard people who can somehow. It's a mystery to me, but I don't expect yourself, is what I was trying to say, to bend it all the way through to the next note, unless you've got really leaky valves or something. And this is sort of a different version of, in fact, we might try it this way. This might be a good way to do it. Of the lead pipe buzzing, bent G to low C, right? That probably broke up a little bit, but this is a great place to work on this. So I think we're going to combine these, and in fact I'm going to leave this sort of out the way that it is, and we'll just have to try to remember not to pick up that horn without keeping the first valve on it. But all right, as we continue, I believe we're on F now. Another thing I have written on my sheet here is muscle use and far out in cheek corners. So in other words, way out here, that I'm doing both pushing in and pulling out, so I have a good control over each corner in that way. And I'm not feeling that right now, and I think I probably should be. So that's sort of interesting. Oops. So already our low range is feeling way, way better than normal. Now we're going to have to counterbalance this with some high range, because we can't just play low or just play high all day, right? That's not going to cut it. Sort of try and combine things, right? do sort of feel that lower lip pushing out just to keep good contact with the rim. And maybe I'm just not being muscularly supportive enough down there, and that's why my low range is so bad all the time, right? If you think about it, if one of your lips is thinned out, in other words, just you're sort of pressing into it but not holding against that pressure, then it wants to respond higher because it's being pulled, and that's going to affect your ability to come in on low notes or even slur into them. And so that's something, when you're working on stuff like this, I'll take a second to explain this because it's really important. When you're working on stuff like this, one of the most important things, besides just being kind of experimental, right? So let's say I have a problem with my low range. I'm just struggling to slur down into the, or I'm struggling maybe to go, well, like that. Maybe I have a low A I got to come in on and I just can't do it. Okay, great. So then I'm gonna change the game. I'm not gonna keep trying that if it's not working. I'm gonna maybe play a scale into it and then maybe try to slur into it, right? But, okay, so I fixed it, but I don't have time to do that every time right before my piece. I can't, if I'm coming on that piece as the beginning of my recital, I can't go on the stage and go, okay, everybody, don't listen to this. Okay, everybody listen really quick. And you're still gonna miss it anyway, right? But you can't do that, and it's, of course you can't, right? That's silly. But if you don't pay attention to what is changing to help you get the good result, right? Then you're constantly going to have to rebuild it, and it's never going to get better, actually, right? It's never going to really improve because you don't know what it is that improves. You just have to set it up again, and it's okay to not know right away, right? Then in that case, you do set it up every day, write it down, write exactly the exercise you do. As long as it works and it gets you there, do it every day until you understand why it works. And then you can do that on purpose. And you still might have to do the exercise a couple of times until you can get it on purpose. But now you've built some kind of like, oh yeah, it's, for me just now, it was actually my top corners pushing in and out a little bit that helped keep the to just be able to come in. Now, it's not a great tone yet, but I'm working on it, so give me a break. All right, so let's keep going. I guess I was on C or B or something. So just kind of playing around, trying not to get too stiff as I play. Again, we're getting somewhere. So I still have a little bit of a floating jaw issue, but I'm trying to minimize it because I want to really keep my anchor points in the same spots. Arguably, you're doing that when you have a floating jaw, right? You're keeping your bottom jaw in contact with the bottom part of the mouthpiece, and as you either bring pressure into it or you jut it out a little bit, which you don't want to do too much, because you'll get the conditioned TMJ, which feels really bad. But arguably, you are trying to keep those anchor points equal. And if you're not sure about anchor points, it's just, I think about it as the four corners. If you drew a square on the mouthpiece, those four corners trying to be even. And it's even, four corners just gets it done because if those are even, then everything in between them is even too, right? So you can think about it as the whole circle if you want. But those aren't points. There are infinite points on a circle. So that's not as helpful to me. Anyway, all right, a couple more. You can do a low F if you want. I feel pretty good now. I honestly, and I'm not even sure we really need to do the C trumpet exercise that we talked about, but we'll do it once for good measure, right? This anymore also. So that's pretty good, right? We're getting where we want to be in short order, and this is in a category of warm-ups that I would consider feel-good warm-ups. In other words, I'm not concerned about the feel as much as the sound, but by the end of it, I feel good, and that's a good warm-up to do. A lot of the warm-ups I have put on this channel and other places are not feel-good warm-ups. They are get-it-done warm-ups. In other words, if you need to get better at the trumpet today and you want to address everything that you ought to address, at least within the confines of what that warm-up can do for you, right? Then those warm-ups get it done in an efficient manner with explanation. And you don't necessarily feel great at the end of it. You feel like you accomplished something. And but you don't want to play 18 etudes after that. On the flip side, a different type of warm-up is one where you feel good the whole time, and then you work your way up to feeling like you really want to play a lot. I generally steer clear of these types of warm-ups for my own personal use because I don't want to depend on them for gigs. I've shown up to gigs. I always show up really early to gigs, like 2.5 hours early, and then I do a very long, nice, feels good warm-up. But I don't want to depend on that. So, and every once in a while you get called to do something right now. My best story was I got called a couple years ago to do the Messiah, with Handel's Messiah, in a town that's about an hour away from here in 4 hours. So I had to decide if I was going to say yes and take a shower and get dressed and drive there and play the Messiah. I didn't have time to practice the Messiah. I didn't have time to get in shape on my piccolo trumpet. I had time to get down there and play a few notes and then go into the gig. I also happen to have like a terrible bacterial infection in my lungs. And I wasn't going to do it. I said no initially when the guy called me 6 hours before the gig. And then when he couldn't find anybody, I just decided I was going to go ahead and say yes. So, and it went okay. It was fine. But anyway, that's why I tend to go for the get it done warm-ups, because the get it done warm-up helps you tomorrow, and the feels good warm-up helps you right now. And there's nothing wrong with either one of them. I'm doing the feels good warm-up right now, and honestly, it feels great. I wish I did this more. In fact, that should go on the list. More feels good warm-ups is going on the list right now of stuff to do this summer. More feels so good warm-ups. I should not call it feels so good, because I'll think that that's a warm-up based on the tune, the Chuck Mangione tune that's so famous, right? Feels so good. So I guess that could be a warm-up, but boy, that would be hard. That's a tough tune to play. If you've never tried, it sounds real easy because it's an easy kind of jazz sound, you know. You know, it sounds so nice and light. But on flugelhorn, those are high notes, and I mean, there's a spot where you have to pick off and articulate on a high D, and you've played for like 3 minutes by that spot, so it's tough. That would not be a good warm up, so don't do that. All right, so now we've done some lip bends. We could do Clark number 3, but we've done that on the stream before, and I can do that on my own time, so I'm not gonna show that to you right now. I'll do it once I've had a week or two to work on it. Then we can work on it more together. But not to say that I mean, it's my job, as I say many times in the stream, to sound bad on camera, and I don't mind. Well, how about this? We'll establish how bad it is, and then you can see all the progress I've made in a couple of weeks, right? So I don't have Clark number 3 in front of me, but suffice it to say, if I can't play it by ear, then I'm not doing the stuff that I said I would do on the last couple of streams. And so that's important to me as well. So I'm just going to try to play it by ear. And if I need to look at it, then I'll do that this week too. But now these start on low F sharp. So we can't even play the first note. Great. You know, we did some of the stuff we just learned. A couple of things with that. I didn't keep my embouchure firm in the same way. I just kind of dropped my jaw open. That seemed to help it at first, but it's not a good ultimate plan. I also didn't do any tonguing. I just tried to slur the whole thing. And I think for me, that's a good place to start. In the masterclass, the clinician, I don't know why I keep not saying her name, Mary Bowden, incredible soloist and chamber music player and just all around trumpet player, honestly. Because I'm trying not to give away the Trumpet Institute information, but I don't. Yeah, if I'm going to give it away, I may as well credit the person, right? So Mary Elizabeth Bowden, amazing, and she was double tonguing every other one, like slow double tonguing. But then we go fast, like, I mean, just really like. I know that's possible. I definitely am so far from being able to do it, right? I heard her do it, and I was impressed. But like, yeah, okay, we should. I agree, we should be able to do that. But every time I tried to do it in the master class, it was just terrible. I mean, and it takes years. When you have something that's that far off the path, it might take years to fix, and that's why it's on my summer list, right? I need to at least get some progress done on this summer. And then it would be great if I'm done by the summer, right? If I just have it and then I can maintain it. But if not, I at least need to get as far as I can so that when I'm doing other stuff and playing more. We're going to be back to gig land, right? People are going to start calling, and we're going to start traveling for gigs and things like that. I'm not going to have time to hedgehog on this, so I need to do it now, right? That's the point. So anyway, now you've heard how bad it sounds. We'll try to do it together in a future class. But for now, these progressively widening single notes too, this is just the idea that you can come in on any note you want. And this is something I used to do a lot, and I just have gotten away from. And it's so easy to just give yourself a crutch every time you're about to play, you know. Some people just kind of play a few notes, you know, just get ready. Some people just kind of like hear, right? They just need to hear it. For me, I need to feel it in the air and on my embouchure, not on my lips. It's not just the lips, but I need to be ready in all those ways. And this also happened in Mary's class, where she suggested kind of doing a breath attack on those notes and just getting them really centered and thinking about the sound and just blowing through, right? So all things that we've talked about at different times on the stream, but all put together, and you can hear how bad I am at it. So let's do a few of these. They go by pretty quick. We'll do it with a metronome too, so we don't get bogged down. So you can hear, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be, but we also didn't get into any difficult ranges. So that's another exercise I'm going to need to do more. And I need to find a version of it that I really like doing. This expanding one is taking a lot of mental energy for me to keep track of the notes. That's fine. I mean, the longer I do it, the less I'm going to think about it. But, you know, the exercise we did out of the Frank Hand book in that master class, I thought was really a good one. It had a lot of octaves, and then like go up a half step and do some more octaves. So that might be a better way to do it. Or maybe I can just find something in the Schlossberg book, right? So I'll look at that. So there we go. We've got we've got progressively widening single notes. Now we haven't played any scales yet, so we better do that. And as much as it pains me to have to play scales on camera, so to speak, again, well, that's what I need to work on. And in fact, I am going to get, if I can find it, I'm going to get the Clark book out. And the reason is because the Clark book has, well, first of all, has a lot of stuff in it, right? That's just really fabulous. But number 5 is major scales that are really fast and widening, right? That go up to 2 octaves, if I'm not mistaken. It might be an octave and a half. I think it's right? Yeah, it is. 2 octaves, yeah. So we need our 2 octave scales, but we don't want to just play them up and down. Now, this is just up and down, but it's up and down and up and down and up, and it's little small cell up and down, right? And it's really super fast. So now, also with the Clark book, we want to get into the habit of reading what the books say. So we're going to do it now. I'll read it to you. The endurance is 90% of cornet playing, and willpower is necessary to accomplish what is considered an impossibility by many players. All right, I like that. I'm not sure if I know what that means yet, but I like the sound of that, yeah. Diligent practice of the preceding material must have improved the breath control of the player who should now be ready for this study containing more ambitious exercises. So that's that. I'll run you through them real quick. This is so he's talking about the preceding, not the material that's coming, but the material we've already done, right? So that's going to be stuff like that. That's number one. Then that's number two. And then that's number three. Just that's one of each. You would do those all in all different keys. So if those are hard, he's saying, oh, sorry, I didn't do number four. We'll do number four as well after I oil this valve. But if those are hard, he's saying you should be doing those, right? Those are already, if those are already hard, don't be going into this fast scale exercise. That might be too hard for you. He doesn't explicitly say don't do it. He just says that you should be ready for this if those have improved your breath control. And by breath control, he means the use of the air, right? Both on how much you use. If you use too much, that's not good breath control. If you use too little, that's not good breath control either, right? It's not about conservation of breath. It's about using exactly the right amount for what you're doing, according to Clark, right? This is not. I'm not quoting him, but I'm also not claiming that this is the way I want people to think about when they play. But that's what he's saying here. And so we want to basically, what I will translate for me is I want to make sure that the things that came before this can be played efficiently in whatever definition I have for that word, right? So that it's not hard for me. It's not impossible for me to play that stuff, right? So, okay, so let's do a little bit of number four, get an idea. Let's see, I already did that key. How about... That's it. Yeah, I always try to combine the last part of the fifth study and the fourth study together. I'm not on purpose, just because my ear hears it. I want to go... but then I'd be playing a high F sharp, and I guess that is... Yeah, you could I guess do that, but then you'd have to do everything really fast. So anyway, all right, here we go. Fifth study. And why are we doing fifth study? Well, because it's a really good study just to go fast on scales, and you could do modes this way too, but it's also just we're using a book that everybody knows, and that's a nice thing, so that I know I have a place to go, right? And I wrote down major scales in all intervals. This isn't intervals yet, but and diatonic triads, we said Clark 3 would be a possible substitute for that. But just to get our major scales kind of going here, right? And let's see if we can do these from the beginning and see how many we can get through. Let's figure out which ones aren't good, whether it's because of my playing or because of my fingers. So pretty rough on the low stuff. I got to work on that. We'll mark these down. Low F sharp. need to work Clark 5, right? And it's just, this is all it is. It's a cross fingering for me. So, I mean, we can work on it right now if we want. So, okay, we got it. Now you might hear how out of tune it is, and I don't like that, but it is sort of faster than I really could reasonably get my slides in and out. So what I'm doing is pulling out the first slide more, because anytime I'm using that valve, it's on C sharp usually, or F sharp. And so I'm pulling it out some and then trying to keep it down with my lip, as opposed to pulling it out the right amount on the third slide. It's not ideal, but for as fast as this goes, I have other worries, right? Obviously the finger coordination, and at least we got that down. So this one should be easy, G major. We'll see, though. Maybe it's not. So not too bad. Now we got some bad ones. Every other one is bad in the Clark book, and then sometimes 2 in a row. I don't know what it is about A flat. It just never settles for me. Fine, decent. This one's going to be really bad, and I'm still trying to at least have my left hand has the reaction whenever these go down that they want to pull out. But if it destabilizes my embouchure because it is a jolt in the horn that happens really fast and then backwards fast, I try to just calm that hand down and just tell it, just don't move, and you'll just have to be out of tune, I guess. All right. So you want to train it to do it on automatically, right? But you also want to be able to shut it off when it's time to sort of go fast. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, you won't hear that note out of tune. It goes so fast anyway." Yeah, you will, but it does go by really fast. So you just have to not care too much. You can care as long as you can play the scale super fast. Then you can start to work that back in, and who knows? I mean, I want it to be in tune and fast, right? So I'm not saying you shouldn't go for that. I'm saying, don't be too hard on yourself if you can't do both of them at once. Or at least I'm not going to be. All right. Valve top there. Had some interesting rhythms going with it. All right, here comes another one. All right, so I'm also learning that I'm looking at them too much. I'm not thinking about blowing through the air, through the horn. I'm not thinking about the sound as much as I'd like. That is the ultimate penalty for looking at music, is that you're not listening to the sound and you're not thinking about the airflow. So I'm going to try not to. Now, of course, I've turned the page to B major, which is one that I probably ought to kind of look at, but I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to look at it sparingly, let's say. Okay, we made it past the last low hard key, and now we're on to C major. Thank goodness. Let's see if we can do this one really fast. So I probably shouldn't have tried to go that fast, but it was a little uneven. If you notice, it was like, and I also just didn't remember the pattern because I was too worried about going fast. Okay, now we'll show the difference between my best key and my worst key now, because this is D flat major. So I kept wanting to play G natural and C natural, of course, but they're just there. The C natural's there, but I mean not you know what I mean. Instead of the no, I guess I did mean that. I don't know. Whatever I did, that one's got to go in the. Let's see, D flat. It's really Clark 5. That one's got to go on the books. And I mean, B natural, I guess, probably should too. But if I'm going to do this as an exercise, then I'm going to notice those and improve them. Maybe I'll do this every day for a week or two. All right? All right, D major. I can't play pedal tones either, but I'm working on that too. All right. If you're wondering, the pedal tones help you sort of pooch that bottom lip out the right way, in a firm kind of way that is useful. So that's why you might want to do pedal tones, and that's what you focus on. Therefore, when you do it, although I think I think I need more upper lip pressing forward as well. Let me see if I can find the name while I'm sitting here for a second of the thing. I keep saying pooching, and I know that that's not what I want, but I can't remember what it is that I want. Here we go. Some stuff. This is my little folio of stuff that I wrote down. Pucker is the word I want. So pucker, as opposed to pooch, although I'm not sure that they really are functionally any different. I don't know why, but as soon as we got to C, or D flat, I couldn't get this. Da, 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 da. I don't like whatever it is, that descending fourth is just not happening for me. So I'm gonna keep trying again. Not doing a very good pedal note job, but almost there. Two more. Okay, one more. The high F one. And then, of course, there's more to this exercise, but these are just the major scales, right? And by the time we've done this one, we've done one of each, right? We started on low F sharp, so we made it. This one should be easy. Hopefully I can get that downward fourth. Not my best. So we're going to put the F one on there too, if only just to make me go slower when I actually do it, because it's just that second part, which just means that I'm not as familiar as I should be with my upper register. I don't know where I put the sheet. The playing by ear in my upper register, because I was trying really hard just to play fast and look at the camera and not at the music. I mean, I don't need you guys to see my eyes, but I need to know that I'm not looking at the music, right? So, but the range part is no big deal, right? That part at least came out fine. Now, the rest of this, he says, these minor and major scales are written to promote agility of the fingers, which is so important in solo playing. Very true. They should be played very slowly at first and as rapidly as possible, as many times in one breath. So we'll see what these are. We'll go slow. So I think these would actually be really good for me to work on that ability to keep my embouchure the way that I want it to go in the low register, because I have to start low and I have to come back to low, and he's asking me to do this as many times as I can in one breath and faster and faster. So we're going to put this on the list as well, right? Clark, number 5, part 2. Another lesser known Clark part, because a lot of people, they do Clark number 1, everybody knows that chromatic scale. Clark number 2, major scales, right? Everybody does those. Clark number 3, yeah, I'd say a fair amount of people do those. Not nearly as many as number 2, but a fair number. Clark number 4, there's a big drop off, right? Not very many people do Clark 4. It's an important one though, because they're basically trill tones, right? It's can you make these two notes basically center the same way, even though they're in different places, and where they're not going to be any other notes, right? It's a trill tone, essentially. And so, and then number 5, well, everybody looks at that and they go, oh, it's just some major scales. I can do that, you know. But it's not. It's minor scales afterwards, right? And then I would say possibly the most impossible etude in the whole book, which is not, it's not impossible. It just means that you really have this under your fingers and you really don't use too much air to play in any range, right? Because it's a whole page, and he says play the whole page in one breath. And then if you actually go, I mean, I'll show you what it is. I'm not going to play it all the way through because I can't. But maybe that's a good summer goal as well. So this is quarter notes, and it's all 16th notes. And it goes something. I'll play a little bit of it. Sorry. I was playing the exercise again. I mean, it's almost possible if you could play it all that fast, but then you can't because I mean, so what does that take? It takes time. It takes slow practice, and I'm gonna have to work on that. In fact, since we're here, I'm gonna mark at the end of the line a little X where I need to work. There. And I haven't played the other half, so we're not going to guess. Okay, so now we've done all our major scales, all of our arpeggios, at least. Oh, no, that's not true. We only did a little bit, right? Okay, so I guess we better do that. Let's see if we can do it. This is something that I like to try to play by ear if possible. So we're going to stick with major scales for now, and because I'm simply not prepared to play my minor scales this way. Maybe we'll figure out one of them. Let's figure out C minor by the end. But let's start on low G, okay? Or low F sharp. We may as well stick with the Clark book, right? And we haven't addressed our high range necessarily yet, but we can do that real quickly just with a little bit of lip trills. We've played into the high register, so we know we can do it. It's not we're not testing ourselves to see if we can do it, but we do want to make it easier. And that felt pretty easy, so I know I'm using my air well. Let's see if I'm using my lips well. It feels fine. So I don't need to do much more than that today. If that didn't go well, I might address it some more, but we're not going to worry about it. Okay, now I could go through and do every interval, and I could do every diatonic triad, and I could do every diatonic seventh chord, and I could do fixed triads and things like that. But like I said, I can't do that on every single major scale every day. So for the purposes of the stream, I'm going to start with just C, because I know I can do it, and I know you can probably do it, and we can do it together. But I really should work on the ones that are hard for me. So today I'm establishing a baseline, and then over the week I will keep track of what's hard and what's not. And then by next week we'll have an idea of which things we need to practice next week and the week after and the whole summer, and which things we maybe just need to check on every month, right? Okay. So this is just C major diatonic triads, and then we'll move on to the next, or I guess we can do C major all intervals. Let's try that. So we've already, I mean, we're not going to do seconds, right? All right, we've played it up and down. So let's play it in thirds. Trying to keep my embouchure together in the low register. Good. Now we'll try fourths, right? And I'm going to go more deliberately each time because it's going to be less familiar. And I might still not get it in even C major. you can argue for, like we've said before, playing playing a different interval on the way down than on the way up so that the notes are paired the same. But I like to have two different pairings. That's hard for me in a way that is also easy to think about. So it's always a fourth from the note that I'm starting on in the scale. So okay, let's do fifths. I'm not going to go all the way up to the 2-octave and a fifth or and a sixth or whatever every time, but for now it seems like we can. Didn't go so well, but we can work on that. We'll work on the ease of it as we get our ear around it better. So I think I'm going to quit there. I'm going to mark where I stopped. I did thirds. So let's see, C, 3, 4, and 5, and because I don't want to tire myself out and not get anywhere, but I also don't want to have a boring stream where you just sit and listen to me rest, which is nothing. Sometimes I talk a bunch when I need to rest and I have more to do, but really we're just kind of we're checking off things on the very big list we spent 20 minutes at the beginning of this making. So, all right, diatonic triads, here we go. And now, again, you can do something different on the way down. I like to do fifth starts on the way down. So in other words, they're still just tertian stacks. What you could do so you're basically, doing a first inversion kind of stack, which obviously was harder for me. I thought it would have been easier, but maybe I should do that next time. So those are our diatonic triads. We can do the diatonic sevenths real quickly. Just went to triads when I ran out of room. Okay, so now we've done all of the diatonic triads and all of the diatonic 7 chords, and we might revisit that and do the inversions on the way down so that they're the same chords related to the same notes, but not today. And so if we look again, we have listening on there. We'll do that off camera because they'll ding me for a copyright violation if I put that on the stream. We didn't do fixed triads. We could do that very quickly. And let's try, this is going to be really hard for me, but let's try minor. And we're going to do all minor triads starting on the notes of a major, C major scale. So, nope. I did a minor scale. Oh man, this is hard to think about. But it's fun to think about, and I really ultimately need to hear it, so I don't want to, unless it's absolutely impossible for me to work out mentally, and so I have to write it down, I don't want to. hard. Yeah, it's going to be a major third first. Oh boy. Oh, it's different on the way down, right? So that was really hard for me. But an interesting exercise that helps me keep track of a sound against a set of notes that is a different sound. And that's the way I'm going to get better ears overall, in addition to better fingers together, right? Not just, oh yeah, I can hear that, but I can't play it. Or, oh, check out what I can do these things, but I don't know if I'm playing the right notes or not. You know, it's got to be both. It's got to be together. And quite frankly, on the trumpet, if you have the fingers but don't have the ear, you just won't play it anyway, right? The fingering patterns are actually pretty limited in terms of what is viable. Like you might say, oh well, right, it's 3 it's 3 times 2 times 1, which is a finite number, but it's actually even less than that, because the number that I mean 1 and 2 is the same as 3, and it's not one valve against one other valve. It's any combination of any valve, so it's actually a larger number, but not the same kind of factorial. And so you know, quite honestly, the combinations are 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then partials, which are separated by whole numbers. And so we have basically in normal tonal music, which would be what we're playing, even though we're doing one tonality at a time in this minor key setting. The number of permutations of reasonable fingering combinations are actually really limited, and so it's really all about the ear, and then being able to connect your fingers with the sound. That's what matters. Our fingers are already perfectly capable of doing some of the hardest stuff. It's our ear that's making the mistakes. So anyway, I think that's a good place to leave it today. We did a bunch of stuff. We got really organized for the summer. I'm going to keep myself to that, and as we go forward through the summer, I'm going to keep practicing this stuff for you guys. And I'm going to, I would love for more people to come and play. So if you are watching this in the future and you'd like to be on the stream, I would love to work with you and see what you're up to and hear your pieces. And we'll also play some literature as usual, but this is kind of what I wanted to get done today. I thought it was going to be storming all day, and it looks beautiful out. So even if it's humid, I'd like to get a little bit of that sunlight. So I will see you in the future, and hopefully we'll all be better at all of these things. All right?